It appears that the chickens are finally coming home to roost. Cock-a-doodle-doo! How appropriate. Things are about to get very, very interesting in the Mountain West Conference. Oh, KC, I know. It's already November. The conference championship game is next month. It's going to be a huge draw. I'm not talking about football. No one cares about football in the Mountain West. This is the same conference that gave us Derek Carr, the coach killer, the man who goes by Derek 6 days a week until the clock hits midnight on Sunday morning, and Derek magically transitions into Donnie, one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL, captain of the bum squad. The dude who will be in the Hall of Fame one day for not only getting Dennis Allen fired once, he got Denise fired twice. In the history of the NFL, how many quarterbacks can say they have gotten the same loser fired twice? You know how bad you have got to suck at your job to get the same coach fired twice? Normally, the Mountain West Conference, it generates no interest on a national level. The Mountain West is kind of like CNN. Everyone knows they're there. Everyone knows they exist. We just never have enough interest to actually watch. No one cares. But here in a few weeks, there is a very good chance that the national spotlight, it is going to be on the Mountain West for the very first time. November 27th, it is going to be a big day. Some might even call it a national holiday. Matter of fact, some might even call it Thanksgiving, because November 27th, it is going to be the 40th birthday for Uncle KC. But my 40th birthday, it pales in comparison to the real importance of November 27th. On that special Wednesday, almost 3 weeks from now, the Mountain West Conference Volleyball Tournament will commence in Las Vegas. The tournament is going to be held in Cox Pavilion. Cox Pavilion. You could not write this script. There is not a more appropriate place for this women's volleyball tournament to be held than Cox Pavilion. But there could be a problem, one tiny problem. It is entirely possible that this tournament could be canceled. It is entirely possible that this tournament isn't much of a tournament at all. It could turn into a single game tournament, maybe 2 games at the most, because I don't know if Blaire Fleming and the Fighting Flemings from San Jose State, I don't know if biological Blaire will be able to find an opponent willing to compete against the Fighting Flemings. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Go ahead and get to the sponsor for today's video, my friends over at New Life Art. I know a lot of you guys in the audience are big fans of college football. Me personally, I have always preferred the NFL, but one thing I can't deny about college football, it is the deep tradition that it has, the memories, especially down here in the South. Tonight is Alabama-LSU, one of the biggest rivalries in the SEC. I am sure artist Daniel Moore is going to be there to capture the memories, because that is exactly what New Life Art does. They capture the classic memories of college football. New Life Art offers oil paintings from legendary painter Daniel Moore. Here's an example right here of Bryce Young in the SEC championship game a week before he won the Heisman Trophy. Who knows? This painting could be worth a shitload of money one day, because this is likely the last trophy that Bryce Young will ever win, since he is probably on his way out of the NFL. If you're a fan of Ohio State, you can hang on to their 2013 national title with this picture of Urban Meyer and Zeke Elliott. Or you can remember Clemson's 2017 national championship with this painting of Deshaun Watson leaping into the end zone. New Life Art also offers calendars, coffee mugs that feature some of the classic games and memories from college football. So click the link in the description below. Grab your first piece of classic memorabilia from New Life Art. Next Thursday, The artists formerly known as Braden and the Fighting Flemings from San Jose State, they were scheduled to play Wyoming. I know my audience is very familiar with Blaire Fleming at this point, but just in case we have someone new watching this video, let me go ahead and explain who Blaire Fleming is. Blaire Fleming was formerly known as Braden Fleming. Blaire's the star player on the women's volleyball team at San Jose State. Problem is, when Blaire was known as Braden, they were born with a biological set of Franken beans. Now, initially, San Jose State, they kept Blaire Fleming's biological gender a secret. They assigned teammates to live with Blaire Fleming, and they didn't tell these young women that Blaire used to be named Braden. They damn sure didn't tell opposing teams about Blaire Fleming's biological gender. I'm sure that would be kind of awkward. Hey, coach, good luck in the game today. Oh, by the way, one of my players used to have a supersized Frank, but don't worry, we bought tuck-friendly bathing suits. The only reason, and I mean the only reason, that the biological identity of Blaire Fleming was exposed is because a young woman named Brooke Slusser, who also plays for San Jose State, she had the courage to come forward. As a result, opposing teams, they started canceling games against the Fighting Flemings. I don't remember the exact number because there have been so many games canceled, but it's got to be getting close to 10 at this point. This weekend, Wyoming, they announced that they were canceling their game next Thursday against the Fighting Flemings. Wyoming now joins their colleagues in courage at Boise State as the two programs that have canceled 2 games against the artist formerly known as Braden. Now, due to Mountain West Conference policy, which needs to be immediately revised, any school who cancels a game is forced to forfeit the game, meaning the Fighting Flemings, they are now given another win that they didn't have to earn. Now, in their defense, I'm sure that the Mountain West has this policy in place in case a team has to forfeit a game for lack of players or for some other reason. But there needs to be a revision to this policy. There needs to be a caveat. If a team cancels a game because their opponent is cheating, which is what this essentially is, then the team that cancels the game over concerns for the safety of their young women, they should be given the win. I mean, that makes sense, right? Wyoming canceling this game against the Fighting Flemings. This was a very big sacrifice on their part. The forced loss, it moved them down to 7th place in the conference. Only the top 6 teams are allowed to advance to the conference tournament. And speaking of the conference tournament, if volleyball season ended today in the Mountain West, Utah State and Boise State, they would qualify for the tournament. What do those programs have in common besides the fact that their roster consists of young women who don't possess a Y chromosome? Both programs have already canceled their regular season games against the Fighting Flemings. Will they stick to their principles and cancel their game in the conference tournament? I guess we'll find out here in about 3 weeks. But my guess is yes. Now, if that happens, what the hell is the Mountain West going to do? There's only 6 teams in the tournament. The winner of the conference tournament receives an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. What will the Mountain West do if the 5 other teams refuse to compete against the Fighting Flemings? Will the Fighting Flemings receive an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament without playing a single game? Can you imagine the publicity? Can you imagine the publicity if the Fighting Flemings make the NCAA tournament? It would be the NCAA's worst nightmare, which is probably why San Jose State tried to keep this a secret. Now, of course, I doubt the mainstream media would cover the story. This has been going on for 2 months now? And the media, they haven't said shit about fuck when it comes to Blaire Fleming. But just as we saw with the election, it no longer matters if the mainstream media covers a story. Hell, they don't have any influence anyway. I know who would cover the story. This guy. I know who else would cover it. Outkick, Reddix, the New York Post. I'm sure Fox News would pick up the story, maybe Megyn Kelly. This could be an unmitigated disaster for the NCAA. And to make matters worse, They no longer have a friendly administration in the White House. Now, the real commander is back. To be honest with you, Blaire Fleming shouldn't even be on the roster at San Jose State, and it has nothing to do with gender, although that is reason enough. Blaire Fleming should not be on the roster because Blaire was allegedly conspiring with an opposing team to throw games. Not only that, Blaire Fleming was allegedly conspiring with Colorado State to set up her teammate Brooke Slusser to be potentially injured. Officials at San Jose State were notified about this alleged conspiracy by the assistant coach of the volleyball team. Now, how did administrators at San Jose State respond to these allegations? Did they launch an investigation? Did they promise to get to the bottom of this? They suspended the damn coach indefinitely. Basically, they fired her. They fired her for having the audacity to report one of her players for intentionally throwing games and possibly setting up one of her teammates. Now, I am not usually an advocate for snitching. I've always been one that thinks you should mind your own business, but this is one of those rare instances where I completely understand it. What I don't understand is why the snitch in this situation was the one that got punished. That's not how it usually works. Hell, the FBI pays people for information like this, not San Jose State. No. Not only do they not pay, they take away your pay if you do it. If the federal government, if the FBI did this, they would never get anyone to come forward with information, which I think is the point. I think that's exactly why San Jose State suspended this coach indefinitely. They don't want anyone coming forward because they don't want to be in a position where they actually had to do something about it. Give me your thoughts on this. Wyoming cancels another game against the Fighting Flemings. Could the Mountain West Conference tournament be canceled because opposing teams are refusing to compete against Blaire Fleming? If that happens, how do you think the NCAA is going to respond? Would they hand the Fighting Flemings an automatic bid to the tournament? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. Best way to contact me is through email, btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys tomorrow.